let's waste no time. What's the importance of word of mouth? What is this all about? Is it even a useful skill? Okay, let's look at this quote. Word of mouth is the primary factor behind 20 to 50% of all purchasing decisions. Back to me. What? That is literally between these 2 people out of 10 to half of the people out of 10 are making decisions purely off of word of mouth. So we should not be disregarding word of mouth. It's an important tool in marketing. Let's learn more about it. Second slide. There are 2 reasons why word of mouth is effective. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's more persuasive. Think of it like this. If your friend tells you something, hey, you should buy this, you're like, yeah, I'll look into it. If a stranger tells you to buy something, you're like, man, I don't know. I don't know you. And that's usually how it goes about. So it's also, okay, that was not funny, but I'm dying over here. It's more targeted as well. If you, let's think about it like reels. When you send your friend an Instagram reel, it's because you know they're going to like the reel. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Your word of mouth tends to not only be more trustworthy to the guy, your friend you're talking to, but also you're going to send exactly what they would want and are interested in. So Tyler, let's get back to me. Tyler, where are you getting this information from? You don't know too much. Well, guess what? Jonah Berger, my man, he is a smart cookie. This guy knows a lot, and this is the book we're going to be looking at today, Contagious, Why Things Catch On. And the entire book summarized down into this video, just the main principles, which are the 6 steps with 2 P's, social currency, triggers, emotions, public, practical value, and stories. And let me just read you a few quotes from this book. Virality isn't born, it is made. Come on, that's a good quote, because I know you can create your own virality. It's not a game of just purely luck. There's luck involved, but you can put the right steps in place, put the right sticks in line in order to pop up and blow up virally. Also, contagious content is like that. So inherently viral that it spreads regardless of who is doing the talking. And there are a lot of examples like this in the book, but we'll get into them. Finally, what causes certain products, ideas, or behaviors to be talked about more than others? That is what this book is about. Bro, let's get hyped because this is about to be an amazing YouTube video. Starting with chapter 1. Oh, never mind. Starting with who is Jonah Berger, because I didn't really know either. So forgive me. I just looked it up on ChatGPT. I said, ChatGPT, tell me what's the most important part about this guy. Tell me about this guy. Is this guy a credible man? And let's just say he is. He's the author of best-selling books. Contagious, this is the book we're looking at, which is New York Times, Wall Street bestseller, translated over to 35 languages, but I didn't even know 35 languages existed. He's an Ivy League professor, marketing professor at the Warren School, University of Pennsylvania, one of the top business schools in the world, bro. In the world. Published in this entire book, which you might find surprised, but it's actually really important, is backed by research. He actually researched all the things he's going to talk about. Published in top academic journals. His work is grounded in behavioral science and marketing psychology. Also, this book was originally just a class he taught at the university. People kept telling him, bro, Jonah, you gotta put this out there. That's his name though, right? Jonah. Yeah. Jonah, you gotta put this out there. And good thing you did, because trust me, there are a lot of great principles in here, especially the first chapter. We're starting off with some fire. Let me get back to the slides. Featured everywhere. Covered by the New York Times, the Harvard Business School Review, Fast Company, The Guardian, and NPR. Bro, I don't even know half of those, but they sound important. So finally, he was a consultant for top brands. He worked with companies like Apple, Google, Nike. This guy is legit. So let's get straight into chapter 1, social currency. Now, back to me. I had no clue what social currency was when I first read the chapter, but in essence, let's see, the cleanest example or definition I have is we share things that make us look good. So think of something that you would be like, oh, I'd probably bring it up to my friend. That is social currency, because we tell things to make ourselves look good and appear like alpha, strong people. Okay, that was a bit cringe. Just bear with me. Let's just get back to the learning. So there are 3 ways to do this. 3 ways to use social currency. It's to find inner remarkability, to leverage game mechanics, and to make people feel like insiders. So let's look at all 3 of them. Remarkability. Let me read this quote. But the most important aspect of remarkable things is that they are worthy of remark. So if you're like, let's say, have a comparison between your day at Disneyland or toothpaste, which one are you going to be talking about? If you said toothpaste, you know you're lying. That is a complete lie. You're fabricating that. So you're going to be talking about more interesting things. That's just how it is. You want to impress your friends. You're going to be like, you know what? I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and it was amazing. That's a social currency. Even though people beat you up, people will say, hey, the movie's not good. The movie is amazing. Just become more interesting, because more interesting tweets are shared more, and more interesting or surprising articles are more likely to make the New York Times most emailed list. In other words, just be interesting. Like, people aren't going to share stuff that isn't inherently interesting unless you use one of the other 6 steps in this framework. We're going to be covering all of them. But if you want to utilize social currency, make your thing so interesting people are going to share it. They're going to talk about it with their friends. Say, hey, I gotta tell this to someone. Make me look cool. One way to generate surprise is by breaking a pattern people have come to expect. And this is why social media doesn't get saturated. Things are constantly going to change. People like when patterns are broken. Otherwise, we would have found a really perfect format by now that everyone copies. Instead, everyone is struggling to try to get to the top. And once you do get to the top, it's a slow descent from there, because people will slowly realize you're not keeping up with the relevant formulas, unless you do some crazy good marketing strategies and you always remain at the top. So if you figure that out, please DM me. I'm trying to figure out myself. Let's talk about leveraging game mechanics. And in order to understand game mechanics, you have to understand the rule of relativity. People don't just care about how they are doing, they care about how their performance is in relations to others. Think of it like this. If you were to win a race, but it's just by yourself, it means nothing. If you won a race out of 8 people, dude, that's pretty good, because you can compare your status, your time, with the other 2 people below you. Technically, as an example, it's like 7 people below you, but you get what I mean. If it was just first and you always got first, and there's no one to compare to, probably means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. So let's talk about building a good game. Leveraging game mechanics requires quantifying performance. For instance, in my running example, if you didn't have a time, how would you be able to prove that you're better than someone else? Same with just any number. Same with like social media. If you're trying to do social media marketing, the more views you have is better than someone who has less views than you. There are like a lot of variables there, but inherently, objectively, this video did better, and you can tell because it had more views than this video that did worse. That's an example of quantifiable or performance. Let's talk about rankings. Make ranks self-explanatory, because people don't know how well they're doing, much less how they compare to everyone else. Don't be like airlines who have silver, gold, platinum, sapphire, emerald, diamond, ruby, emerald. I think I said emerald. Acacia. If people keep just adding these random ranks, tell me the difference between like ruby and gold. Or not ruby and gold. Tell me ruby and emerald. Like, I don't know. I don't know the difference. So then how should someone be able to? Stick with something simple. 3, 2, 1. Like, just numbers. People know that. Also, people know, what's it called? Bronze, silver, gold. Simple. Because otherwise people won't be able to compare. They'll be confused and your game won't work. Finally, recipients, and this is actually really important and the reason why you should do leveraging games or leverage games. Recipients of awards love boasting about them. It gives them the opportunity to tell others how great they are, but along the way they have to mention who gave them the award. Now we're talking, because this is exactly what the book's about. Spreading through word of mouth. People are going to talk about your product, your service, their ranking. Hey, look at me. I'm a platinum subscriber of Tyler Stover. Just saying, because then my channel gets mentioned when you talk. That's a really cringe example. I better not include that in the video. But you get what I'm saying, I think. No, I should really stop saying that too. Yeah, let's just move on. Cut my losses. Make people insiders. Scarcity and exclusivity boost word of mouth by making people feel like insiders. And let me tell you a secret. If you tell someone a secret, they're most likely gonna tell someone else. I admit it. Someone told me a secret before, and I come home and I pull it out right in front of my family. I'm like, guys, I gotta tell you something. The thing is, this is a good thing for marketing. If you tell customers, hey, here's a good deal, don't tell anyone else about it. Bro, the second they step out of that door, the second they step out of that door, they're going and telling their friend and be like, bro, you got to use this coupon. This thing will save you 20% on your deals, which we'll also talk about discounts later in this video. It's very important. So, like, let's go back inside. Here's my example. Bro, you have to look at this. I will. As simple as that. Let's get into chapter 2, triggers. How to make an effective trigger. One key factor is how frequently the stimulus occurs. That is exactly what I have here. So notice how there are 4 occasions this guy sees the subscribe button. I see it maybe Monday, Tuesday, this is Thursday, Sunday. I'm like, bro, I gotta click it. I gotta click it. And no, I'm not saying you should. I'm not forcing you to subscribe to the channel. But like, if you want to, the button's not that far away from you. But the thing is it wouldn't be smart for me, for instance, to link the subscribe button to my channel or like my brand, so that every time you see a subscribe button, you think of me. No, it doesn't work, because look at all these people are already linking the subscribe button to their channels. You should subscribe to other channels. Let's talk about an apple, for instance. Think of an apple. What's the first thing that comes to mind? It could have been the color red, could have been the fruit, could have been the tech company, could have been a doctor, could have been a teacher. 5 different combinations. Linking Tyler Stover's channel to an apple, not a good idea. There are already too many things connected to it. So let's get to immediate versus ongoing word of mouth. What's the difference? Which one should I use? Immediate word of mouth occurs when you pass on the details of an experience or share new information you've acquired soon after it occurs. Think of it like pop culture. You see something funny, you send it to your friend, you guys talk about it for maybe like a day, and because everything's moving so fast, apparently I'm already out of the loop again, just because I was on my phone for one day. That's weird. Rather, I enjoy ongoing word of mouth. In contrast, conversations you have in weeks and months that follow, rather than just being, oh, everyone's talking about it for a day, and then no one talks about it ever again. This is a much more reliable tool, because people are going to be talking about it from now on. Think of it like, this is a terrible example, but think of it like Fortnite. People still talk about Fortnite. Maybe you don't, but like it's still talked about for some reason, and people claim it's a dead game, even though it's got more players than really ever before. Who knows? Maybe this video is like 11 years old and Fortnite's finally dead. If it is, smash like. That would be a very sad day, actually. So do it in respect for Fortnite. Let's see. Both types of word of mouth are valuable, but certain types are more important for certain products or ideas. So it's situational if you want to use immediate word of mouth or ongoing word of mouth. Maybe for like a product launch, immediate word of mouth is probably the best way to go for rather than ongoing word of mouth. But for most product or ideas, however, ongoing word of mouth is often like the best choice, is what it's meant to say. Guys, I read this entire chapter. I read this whole book for you. And when I say I condensed this information to just the best, I did. But there's so much good information here. And if you're interested, there's a link to it in the description. But let me tell you, this is the entire chapter of chapter 3. It's like 30 to 60 pages. I forget how long it was. This is all you need to know. And this is a really important graph. Here you have arousal level, and here you have positive and negative emotions. If you have something that's high arousal and positive emotions, you either are using the emotions awe, excitement, or humor. For instance, if think like America's Got Talent, boom, awe. Look at the child can sing and he dances and he's like sad or something. And you hit the gold buzzer and everyone's happy. Or you do something like awe for Red Bull ads, or they're really even ads. They're like not even marketing the drink, but you know what I'm talking about. But when you see a Red Bull thing, it's an awe. You're like, whoa, that's crazy that someone jumped out of a plane that high. But you can have the other spectrum where it's high arousal, negative emotion. This is like half the news channels just trying to make you either anxious or angry. Positive and low arousal. This is the only one I'm a little confused with, is contentment. But I like to imagine it as kind of like you and me. We're sitting together. We're chilling. We're learning marketing. It's awesome. It's an awesome vibe. You're content. And that's the emotion I'm going for. Maybe you're a little excited too, because I'm speaking a little high. I'm not high. I just have a lot of energy. Okay. Chapter 4, public. Again, I read the entire chapter. I took the best information for you just to save you time. This is all you need to know. We need to make the private public. If something is built to show, it is built to grow. Now, bro, if you want to grow in your marketing, it really does help if you post something. Like if you're just never going to press the publish button, I'd probably bet that it's not going to go anywhere. You have to put your stuff out there, even if you're worried it's going to fail. And like, I was worried for a little while that, you know what, I shouldn't do social media. I shouldn't make YouTube videos. Look at me now. I'm still doing it. Well, I am doing it. You should do the same. I encourage you. You might think, I can't do it. Bro, you can do it. I believe in you. Let's talk about Chapter 5, Practical Value. There's some like seriously good tips in here. Lock in. If the product's price is less than $100, the rule of 100 says that the percentage discounts will seem larger. For a $30 t-shirt or a $15 entree, even a $3 discount is still a relatively small number. But percentage-wise, 10% or 20%, that same discount looks much bigger. If the product price is more than $100, the opposite is true. Numerical discounts will seem larger. Take a $750 vacation package or $2,000 laptop. While 10% discount may seem like a relatively small number, it immediately seems much bigger when translated into dollar. $75 off or $200 off. So I made this little story. Look at, you got a $20 shirt. I wish I could find a $20 shirt. That's not the, never mind. You got a $20 shirt, blue, black. The blue dollar shirt is $2 off. Whoa, this guy's saying it's not worth it. That's crazy, because the same discount, just put it in a different way, 20% off is considered a steal. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be like, yo, 20% off, that's crazy. $2 off, really not worth it. So use this in whenever you're pricing, because pricing is actually part of marketing. The marketing mix, 4-piece marketing. Well, I actually really haven't talked about that much on this channel, I think. That might have been a lie. Okay. So diminishing sensitivity. This is another really important part. Let me tell you a story. Imagine you found a lamp. You really like this lamp. It's $10, and you ask the guy, yo, how much is this? You find out it's $10, and he said, but you can save $5 if you go to the store 5 minutes away. You're like, bet, I'm going. So you drive over and you save $5. Awesome. Now you go the next day. You find this TV for $200, and you're like, hey, how much is this? He's like, $200, but you can get $5 off if you drive 5 minutes away to this other store. And you're like, nah, I'm good. Why is that? That is an example of diminishing sensitivity, which reflects the idea that the same change has a smaller impact the farther it is from the reference point. For instance, if something is $5 off, if something's $5 off and the original thing's $10 off, or if something is $5 off and the product on average costs $10, that seems like a steal. But the further you get away, maybe like $20, less of a steal. $50, less of a steal. $100, much less of a steal. The further away you get from the dollar amount, the less of a steal it's going to be. Back into the groove. Oh my goodness. How people make decisions. This is an interesting one. The theory is amazingly rich, but at its core, it's based on a very basic idea. The way people actually make decisions often violates standard economic assumptions about how they should make decisions. Judgments and decisions are not always rational or optimal. Instead, they are based on psychological principles of how people perceive and process information. So, say like this is what we really think people are like. Hey, that's the most optimal choice after my deep analysis. The reality is, we're like, hey, I feel like that's the right choice. I'm gonna go with that one. We're not always thinking with our brain. Oftentimes with emotion, why there was an emotional chapter. But You might be asking, Tyler, why is this chapter called Practical Value? Apparently, this is the best quote I found. I trust my judgment. While practical value, I'd say it's very self-explanatory. If something helps other people, they're more often than not going to talk about it and share it to other people. So the only thing is, I'm just warning you that people are kind of irrational and will make choices based off feelings. While practical value is great, like this channel. Bro, this channel has got a lot of practical value. But in reality, if I were to try to sell like a $10 course, the main way to get you to buy would probably be emotional. But I'm not selling a $10 course. You're good to say here. I'm not selling it yet. And it won't be $10. It's going to be $1,000. Just joking. No courses here for now. Let's talk about chapter 6, stories. Key to good storytelling. And let me tell you, this is my third iteration of the key. Ignore that. It kind of looks like a mountain range on a spoon. Okay. If you want to craft continuous content, try to build your own Trojan horse. You know the Trojan horse story, I'm sure of it. But make sure you think about valuable virality. Make sure the information you want people to remember and transmit is critical to the narrative. Make sure you can make your narrative funny, surprising, or entertaining. But if people don't connect the content back to you, it's not going to help you very much, even if it goes viral. For instance, there was a guy who broke into the Olympics. He has like a casino name painted on his chest, who did a belly flop off the diving board. It went viral for a little bit, but the casino saw no profit. Why is that? Because the viral ad didn't connect to the company. No one's gonna think, oh man, jumping off a springboard, casino, I'm gonna go gamble. They're not gonna, maybe even if they look up the name on his chest, probably a lot of people did. There was a spike the day he did it or went viral, but no one's really gonna continue with that. It's not linked to the product. If you're gonna tell a story, especially for advertising and just marketing in general, make sure it links to the product. People for some reason forget it. I will probably end up forgetting it in my lifetime. Let's just try to make the mistake as least as possible. Okay, summary. I was originally gonna be like, I'm done with the book. I read chapter 1 through 6. I read the intro too. Good day for me. But this epilogue is actually amazing. It's a great way to summarize everything we learned and remember it. For instance, these are like little jingles the guy made up. Social currency, we share things that make us look good. Triggers, top of mind, tip of tongue. Emotions, when we care, we share. That's my favorite. Public, built to show, built to grow. Practical value, news you can use. And stories, information travels under the guise of idle chatter. And then finally, here's some great questions to ask for when using these steps. So save this part of the video. This is actually very important. Social currency. Does talking about your product or idea make people look good? Can you find the inner remarkability? Leverage game mechanics, make people feel like insiders. Triggers. Consider the context. What cues make people think about your product or idea? How can you grow the habitat and make it come to mind more often? Emotions. Focus on the feeling. Does talking about your product or idea generate emotions? How can you idle the fire? Public. Does your product or idea advertise itself? Can people see when others are using it? If not, how can you make the private public? Can you create behavioral residue that sticks around even after people use it? Practical value. Does talking about how your product or idea help people help others? How can you highlight incredible value, packaging your knowledge and expertise into useful information others will want to disseminate? Finally, stories. What is your Trojan horse? Is your product or idea embedded in a broader narrative that people want to share? Is your story not only viral, but also valuable? So that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video because this book was actually pretty decent. Not gonna lie, would recommend, and I do recommend that you do check out the link if you are interested because it's an affiliate link, which means you help the channel. And as of now, I have no money. I made no money from channel, and I want to keep bringing great marketing channel. Whoa, I'm losing my mind. It's later than I usually stay up. But let's just say I want to keep making great content, and a great way to support what I do here is to use affiliates. So if you're interested in the book, but if you're like a single ounce not interested in it, don't worry about it. I'll be making 2 other videos this week. Just watch those. You'll be fine. Thanks for watching to the end. You are a legit one. Godspeed.